episode 53 of the SND Podcast show on the Schmuck Sports Network. Steven is here. Dan is there. What's going on, Dan?
Not much. How's it going? Same old. Another week in the books. How's it going? Another fun 10 weeks of football season has gone. And what happened to the season?
This is the wackiest season I can remember.
Definitely the wackiest season in a long, long time, as well as as I can remember as well, Steve. Also, basketball and hockey are both in full swing of things. New York teams are up and down like a yo-yo, so we'll definitely talk about those teams as well.
Finally get into some basketball this week.
Yeah, basketball teams are really a little rusty. Both teams starting off a little shaky. The Islanders playing and the Rangers are playing red hot, even though they lost the other night to the New Jersey Devils.
Talking about the football and the wacky season, we're actually going to have a special guest later on the show from NFL Network, one of the producers of the Rich Eisen podcast. Chris Brockman's going to join us. We'll talk to him about how wacky this season is, and get his take on, of course, the locals, New York Giants and the New York Jets. So stick back, stay tuned, listen to a little more Division 1.1 submission. That's our song for this week. This is episode 53, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to the S&D Podcast. You just listened to Submission by Division 1.1. We're going to start the night off with a little NBA action. We'll talk about the Knicks and Nets. Both teams very sluggish at the start of the season. The Nets have not won a road game yet so far, and they're going on their West Coast swing. What do you think so far is the Nets' issue? I think it's more of a gelling thing more than anything at the moment. They've looked good at moments and looked very sluggish at others. It's just they're early in the season, new coaching, pretty much a whole new team. Granted, most of the team was Boston Celtics last year. I know that was a joke, but it's true. It's going to take a while for them. It doesn't happen overnight. They have a little bit more of an excuse, unlike the Knicks. Right now, the Knicks have just played pretty poorly. Last week they had one pretty bad outing against the Bobcats, where I was actually at. Game was very embarrassing. Unfortunately, the moment Tyson Chandler got hurt, turns out to be a broken leg. The whole Garden crowd and everything, even the Knicks, just stopped playing and caring, and the Bobcats took advantage. And then there was Sunday, while everybody was worried about the NFL going on the typical Sunday afternoon game. The Knicks did have a game on Sunday afternoon at noon.
They didn't know that.
They definitely did not.
Forgot.
They definitely forgot, and they definitely went out partying the night before or something, because they missed the tip-off, and they didn't show up at all. J.R. Smith returned, typical J.R. Smith, hot and cold, same old. Knicks got absolutely embarrassed by the Western Conference champions, San Antonio Spurs, like the San Antonio Spurs normally do with teams like the Knicks so far this season.
Well, they're just being the Spurs.
Yeah, they embarrassed the Knicks. And Jim Dolan actually guaranteed a Knicks win.
Who was it?
Wednesday.
Steve Summers. When I was driving home from work today, he goes, "You don't guarantee a win in the 7th game of the regular season. That's what you save for the 7th game of the playoffs."
Well, no, it's funny. It was a funny thing. The Daily News of the Post. I don't remember which paper, but they pretty much mocked the Mark Messier Game 7 thing. But it's guaranteed Game 7. Obviously, it's the 7th game of the year. It's kind of funny. I thought that was funny. Pretty much adding what you just said. The Knicks, Banyani played pretty well on Friday night.
He looks like he's starting to
pick it up a little bit. The Knicks just gotta start playing more cohesive. Obviously, they're not playing any defense, and that's tough to say when you're losing one of the arguably the best defenders in the league. But it's just not happening for the Knicks right now, and they gotta clear the storm. Melo's not scoring as Melo at the moment. The Knicks really need to get their groove going, and it's still early in the year because Knicks fans need to chill out. Because I know how fickle Knicks fans are, and overall all New York sports fans. If the Knicks were doing so good, we'd be the top seed in the world. No one can beat us. We could beat the Heat. That kind of talk that would come out of normal Knicks fans. Opposed to, we're a top 5 lottery team now. kind of talk, stupid talk like that. It's still early in the season. There was a lot of there was one trade rumor early this week with Iman Shumpert and with Denver with what's his name?
Fareed.
Fareed. It was not intimate. It turns out that Denver declined the trade, so Knicks fans are going to be very happy that they don't lose Shumpert. I'm
happy. I'm happy because Fareed's at his ceiling. He's reached the high point of his career.
That's what my coworkers said today as well.
He's a big man. You basically hit that ceiling and it's all downhill. When he plays, it's just a matter of time before he becomes Amari Stoudemire.
Absolutely right. And I honestly, it's honestly like I was telling someone. I'm sure we do need a power forward at the moment because Stoudemire's on his very, 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 very last legs. But
he's on his
maybe
legs.
Because we have Tim Hardaway Jr. on the team now that makes Shumpert a little bit more expendable. But honestly,
just think about this as a future though. Tim Hardaway Jr. and Shumpert.
But that's the thing. I hate the idea that we'd have to trade Iman Shumpert. I know he's not the best player. He's not an elite player. But he leaves everything on the line. And he came back from knee surgery pretty well last year. And he's going to be even better this year. And he's one of the few guys on the team that actually plays defense and shows that he gives a damn. Even when some players don't. When we even look bad, he always gives his effort. And you can't trade away players like that. I know Fareed is a decent player. And I'm not... If we were trading like one for an elite player, obviously I would give up Shumpert in a heartbeat because we would get an elite player. But for someone in similar position, just in like a power forward position when we have a bunch of power forwards, I just don't like that notion, and I think we're panicking kind of thing. Because we can get Chandler back, we just got to stay afloat. Yeah. They could survive. It's the Eastern Conference. They could definitely survive and find a way to stay afloat, and then once Chandler comes back, we can become that dominant team again, hopefully.
You gotta hope so. And then with the Nets, you just have to be patient. They're going on the West Coast trip.
I think
they're playing winnable games.
They exactly. They are playing winnable games. They're just not playing up to their par yet. The last game they played before Wednesday night's game against Sacramento, they played Saturday versus the Pacers. No one's beating the Pacers anytime soon right now unless they're the Heat.
Who was it who guaranteed they're getting the number one seed? I heard something about the Pacers and the number one seed the other day, and I just didn't have the opportunity to research it.
I didn't see that.
Somebody said that they're guaranteed the number one seed.
I missed that. Honestly,
well, LeBron's calling out the Heat. Nobody's playing well on the Heat either.
Well, yeah, it's been a sluggish start. Other than the Pacers, everybody's been sluggish.
And the Spurs, of course, because nobody even knows they're playing.
Honestly, though, looking at this West Coast trip, the Nets should take 2 out of 3.
The one loss being the Clippers?
Yeah, but if they win, it's not a shock kind of game. They could definitely they should.
The thing with the Clippers is they'll put up 120. Yeah. They'll give up 119.
Yeah,
and wins.
So they should definitely take care of Sacramento on
Which is very interesting with a Doc Rivers team, by the way.
Yeah, but that's just how the style of that team is. And Doc Rivers has to, like we mentioned with the Nets, they also have to get used to that system as well, kind of thing. And with Chris Paul and those other guys, they're just Lob City, just being able to take care of that offensively. The Nets should take care of business on this road trip.
I don't see why they shouldn't. And then before we record again, they have a home game against Portland, who they should also be able to beat. Who I don't see why they shouldn't be able to beat Portland. They are Portland.
They should finally get a road win within the next few games.
Right. What do the Knicks got coming up? I know they're playing Atlanta while we're recording.
While they're playing, hold on, let me get that up real quick.
Okay, Atlanta while we're recording. Thursday the 14th, home against Houston. Saturday the 16th, home against Atlanta. Tuesday at Detroit, and when we record next week against the Pacers.
Okay.
At home.
So that's going to be fun. Jeremy Lin's return to the Garden tomorrow. That's going to be fun.
Didn't he play last year?
No, he didn't. He actually didn't play last year because it would have been a bigger deal.
Oh, that's true.
So he's actually going to be playing. So they play the Hawks twice this week.
So they should win.
They should win one of these games.
I don't see why they shouldn't win that. Let's see. Houston's been interesting this year.
Yeah, it depends which Houston team shows up and which Knicks team shows up. That should be a close game. But
Detroit should be a win.
Detroit should be a win. Normally, they are a better team this year. Don't forget they have got Jennings and a few other
Pepe Silva.
Other solid pickups. Wow, the Knicks are also going on the West Coast trip soon too. It's not just the Nets.
Yeah, next weekend.
Next Thanksgiving weekend. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. It ends on Thanksgiving, the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah. So.
All right.
Ooh, I know we have a while, but December 5th is the first Brooklyn Net game.
Looks like it may almost be time to bring Alex back.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe towards the end of November.
Yeah.
We'll discuss it with Alex. But right now, we're going to go play some more Submission by Division 1.1, and we'll be right back to talk hockey.
S&D Podcast is in no way affiliated with, associated with, produced, or endorsed by the National Basketball Association or any of its affiliates.
Welcome back to S&D Podcast. Once again, you just listened to Submission, another segment of Submission by Division 1.1. As always, great music by the guys from Division 1.1.
Hanging out with Brian the other day. They're in the final stages of recording the new music.
Awesome. All right, well, we're just going to start this segment talking a little NHL hockey. The Islanders and Rangers are both playing up and down hockey. The Rangers are playing pretty awesome right now. Kreider is starting to pick up the awesomeness. He's scoring goals left and right. Unfortunately, they lost to the New Jersey Devils on Tuesday night. He looked pretty good at moments and very sloppy, and a lot of goals that should have never happened. For some reason, the Devils still have the Rangers number. The Devils are not where they were the last couple of years. They're not that team that found a way to beat the Rangers to make the Stanley Cup playoffs, the Stanley Cup championship. But the Rangers still cannot find a way to beat the Devils so far this year. They're 0-2 this year, and they should, with how the Devils played against other teams this year, the Rangers should have no problem taking care of them this year, and it's just not happening. But the Rangers are still playing really awesome hockey right at the moment. They're firing on all cylinders right now. But defense has picked up superbly. Mark Stahl and McDonough had been playing great. Girardi's still playing okay, but he's still playing pretty solid. Derek Stefan and Brad Richards and who else has been put? Broussard is playing pretty well as well. The Rangers can't wait to get Nash back. He should be back by midweek, hopefully by the end of this week. So that's going to be helpful for the Rangers, who pretty much has not played this whole entire season because he got hit in one of the first two games of the year. So Rangers are definitely going to be happy to see Nash back.
The Rangers' best asset right now is Cam Talbot. It's been amazing for them right now. I know we got a win the other night.
And like we mentioned with Andy the other night was AJ. We were talking about the other night with AJ. That's what you need out of your backup goaltender. And with the Rangers, they need to play a young kid like Cam Talbot because it's going to be useless for him to just rot on the bench. Granted, we're not saying he's better than Henrik Lundqvist and not start him over him. Obviously not, but Henrik's gonna need his rest, and especially with the Olympic year, it's good to have Cam Talbot play once a week. Maybe we'll get one start a week. Maybe if it's a back-to-back with like they've been doing and getting a little refresh. Obviously, if it's a meaningful game, yes, Henrik is going to be playing that game and starting it every single game throughout if it's that important. But honestly, you can suck it. You can trust Cam Talbot, and you know he'll have a solid game, and he'll put that 60-minute performance on, and you have a shot of winning like you've had throughout every game he's played so far this year. He's stepped up and played well.
Yeah.
All the games he's played, the few games he's played, they've lost a few, but it's 1-goal games that their offense just couldn't find the puck in the net.
He also has one of the coolest.
Yes, he does. I Facebooked it on my personal page. He has Echo 1. He has Slime. It's pretty much a Ghostbuster helmet with the New York Rangers emblem.
And the Marshmallow Man.
Marshmallow Man. It's pretty awesome. It's just pretty much everything Ghostbusters. It actually has the Ghostbusters 2 logo opposed to Ghostbusters 1. So that's pretty cool. He does have the coolest mask in the league. Absolutely.
Out of all the ones I've seen, he definitely does. Actually, no. I saw one because I follow the guy who does the masks on Instagram and Facebook. So check him out. It's actually pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I follow him on Facebook.
One of the Stars goalies has like a Dallas Stars shrine on his helmet.
Oh, that's cool.
He's got like a little thing of Turco.
Oh, cool.
One of Madonna.
Oh, obviously Madonna.
Brett Hall.
Brett Hall, yeah.
And I think the other one was Darian Hatcher.
Oh, that's cool.
It was either Hatcher or, no, Belfour. The little eagle for Eddie,
All right. That's
Eddie
cool.
Belfour. So that was really cool to see. Because, you get to get the history of the Dallas Stars on there. I know, I think it was DiPietro did that a couple years ago for the Islanders. Devils have a tough schedule this week before we record again. At Montreal, which they always struggle. Home against L.A. against the backup goalie, because Jonathan Quick did get hurt. He's back in California with a hamstring injury.
They caught a break with that.
So the Islanders, because they're playing them first. But you never know. It's not like you're just giving the guy a day off.
Oh, of course. But they do catch a break, though.
And then they play Boston at home, which is always a tough match.
For Olympics' sake, I hope Jonathan Quick gets back healthy. And I know there's plenty of time to Olympics, but hopefully he stays healthy and ready to go for the Olympics, because he is projected to be the number 1 starter for Team USA.
Yes, definitely. That's a little tough week for them. I can see 2-1 record. 1-2 record.
Yeah, the Devil. Yeah,
they never go to Montreal and play well.
No, it's just gonna be one of those things. Obviously, with their goaltending, they're gonna stay in games, but they gotta find a way to get more scoring and things like that. They found ways to beat the Rangers last night because they're good and that's their natural rivalry. But other games they just can't get anything going, and especially when Yager. I know Yager's Yager. But when he's your main source of goal scoring now at his late of age and his late of his career, it's never good.
Well, that's a problem. You don't want Yager to be your top goal scorer, and there is nobody else on that team, to be honest with you.
Michael Ryder and Dubras, they're not. Yeah.
Elias also is at that point where it's just. I love Elias. I think he's one of the best players at our time, but it's past his time.
Exactly. Let's talk about.
Let's get on the train and get to the Islanders, Long Island Railroad.
Okay. It seems
16-6. 16-6. That was the goal differential on the road trip. 16-6.
They've been playing sloppy defense, as you can see, and that results in poor goaltending and rebounding and just crappiness and not being able to putting the puck in the net kind of things. They played great last Tuesday night against the Nashville Predators. They got the puck flowing. They were able to attack. When the Islanders are able to attack on all cylinders, they're going to be a very tough team. And like I predicted early in the season, Poulin's starting to get a little bit more playing time than what we expected. But unfortunately, it's a little earlier than what I expected. He's been playing great. He's definitely earning a little bit more extra playing time than what he's gotten so far in the season. Nabokov's been playing okay, but the defense hasn't been able to help him out as much as you would want. And it's just one of those things that the defense needs to figure something out to get it going.
Yeah. The biggest loss right now is Lubomir Wisniewski, who has a concussion and hasn't even put skates on, apparently.
That's not good.
And
it's
the Rangers, right? Nash is skating, which is always a good sign.
Honestly, every concussion's different. Everybody's different, so you can't. Yeah, I hate when people try to compare concussions because
I'm just talking about time frame wise.
I know every concussion's different. Everybody's a little different, and the severity of it's completely different. So I wouldn't go crazy about it. And you got to know anything with the head it's very delicate, and everybody knows that they have to take every precaution to make sure especially how scary the whole NFL, MLB, all the sports with concussion issues that they're trying to figure it out. So you know it's going to take a while.
Yeah. But that was a rough road trip. They didn't show up at all.
It was just one of those road trips that they just, okay, we're just going to play like this, and I look not prepared and just get butt kicked kind of week. And this is where the Islanders have normally crapped the bed in past years is November. And the Islanders need to wake up and stay afloat for this month and stay and fight. This is notoriously a bad month for the Islanders, and it's been a proven fact They could win. They cannot lose a playoff spot this month, but they certainly cannot help their chances at the end of the year when they get on their hot streak and they'll be down a couple points. And remember that one particular game in November where they didn't care a certain thing or they didn't play their best hockey could bite them in the ass at the end of the year. So they got to take for granted every game of the season and find a way to pull games out when they need to.
Yeah. They're still gelling with Vanek, and it's not good because now he's hurt. So that's just going to hurt them a little bit more with the gelling. That's going to take a little longer. So, and like I said, you need Wisniewski back to run that power play. He runs the power play. One thing they've always missed on this franchise was a power play quarterback. Oh. And they got one in Wisniewski. Now he's out. Now they don't have one. Now they're searching. So really, they need to get a second power play guy. That's what they need.
Absolutely.
Because last year it worked because you had Straight and you had Wisniewski. So you could split them up, have one on each line.
Yeah.
2 quarterbacks. Now you have 0. And then I didn't want to pay Straight $5.5 million a year.
Of course.
Still, you need a quarterback for the power play. And they don't have that. They can't rely on John Tavares, especially who may be day-to-day now with a back injury. He got hit into the boards badly on Tuesday. And is actually questionable for the next game. So, the next game they do have is on the 14th, home against LA. And they play home against the Red Wings.
Don't forget that's the BOA food can drive.
Yes.
Don't forget to, if you're going to the Islander.
Actually, both games.
Both games?
We will collect at both games. Everybody will collect at both games. Mike will be at both games. T-Bone will be at both games. Matt and Kayla are also at both games. Also, if you see me and you want to give me the stuff, of course, I'll pass it along for you. If you run into me at all. So don't forget that. If you want to tweet us or anything, we could always meet. I could always meet you someplace and pick stuff up from you. So the 14th against the Kings at home, the 16th at the Red Wings. Food drive, by the way, is 1 to 6 on Saturday. We'll be setting up by the Marriott parking lot on the Coliseum side. And then they go to Toronto, which they always struggle. So 1-1-1. I'm gonna call.
Okay, I could see that. It's tough stretch with the Kings. They catch a break with Jonathan Quick not playing, so you'd think they'll find a way to hopefully pull out a win. But that Detroit's always a tough matchup, so I'm gonna probably expect a loss. And what was the third game? Toronto.
At Toronto. At
Toronto. House of Horrors for Islanders. Yeah, they're gonna find a way to fight, but we'll see what happens. So I agree with you with that 1-1-1 record.
It works for me. Give me 3 points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 3 points. I'll take 3 points out of a possible 6 points. When you go 500 in 3 games, when you get half the points you're supposed to get in 3 games,
you take it.
You take it in a heartbeat, especially a team that's not like a Pittsburgh or Boston.
Yeah, of course.
But right now we're gonna go play a little more Division 1.1 submission, and we'll be right back with our special guest.
SNDPODCAST is no way affiliated with, associated with, produced, or endorsed by the National Hockey League or any of its affiliates.
And welcome back to the S&D Podcast Show on the Schmuck Sports Network, episode 53. Once again, that was Division 1.1 with submission. Now we'd like to welcome in our special guest from the NFL Network. You hear him on the Rich Eisen podcast. Chris Brockman. Welcome to the show, Chris.
What's up, Chris? How's it going tonight?
Hey, guys. How are you? Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
No problem. First off, before we even forward, I was listening to this week with the episode with Scott Van Pelt, and I just want to let you know we won't fall asleep on you while you're talking. Like, you're
not going to pull a Francesa on me?
No, we won't do that to you.
Absolutely not.
Have you guys have you seen the video of this story? It's amazing.
There's a GIF. There's a GIF photo of it.
And the best part about it is that Francesa won't admit to it. He won't own up to it. Where if he said, he was talking about the Yankees or the Jets or whatever, and that team's so boring it put me to sleep, like everyone would have had a great laugh, and the story would have moved on, but he was incessant with his denials, and it just kept the story going.
Yeah.
You want to know what's something so funny and weird about that? Well, for people that don't know, Chris is actually from Boston, New England area, but he's living in California with the NFL Network. But Chris, he was actually talking to the Yankee beat writer for WFAN. That's what
About
makes
the
it
Yankees,
so
right?
funny. Yeah, what makes it so funny
Right.
is he's such a big Yankee fan. So that's
Right.
why it
So he
makes
was
this.
talking about, he had the beat writer on, talking about his favorite team, probably talking about Derek Jeter coming back from injury or something, and it was putting him to sleep. That's how boring the Yankees were this year. And obviously I can say that because the Red Sox won the World Series.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. As everyone, it's funny. Isn't it funny when people congratulate you on your team winning, like you had such a great part in it? It's
Yeah,
like,
no, yeah.
That's how we felt with the
For you,
Giants.
like, how are you feeling right now? And of course, look, I get very emotional watching my favorite sports teams, but in the end, I'm just a fan.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just a fan. I have no outcome. I don't affect anything that happens on the field, on the ice, on the court. I'm just a fan, but people go out of their way to congratulate you when your team wins a championship. I love it.
Yeah, I do love it too. It was very weird the first time.
It was a great feeling though when everyone congratulated us on making sure one team ended up 18-1.
No, you guys had to go there, didn't you? You had to.
He went there, but
We had to go there.
Of course, we went there. Oh no, but
You had
honestly,
to go there.
honestly though, it really is the funniest but weirdest moment, like you just said, like when someone goes out of your way and say, "Oh, congratulations on your team winning," and it's like, all right, I made that play on third down, but thank you.
Right.
Like,
And the funny thing is, like, out here, everyone's a sports fan, big sports fan. Obviously, when you work at a sports network, I think it's just assumed that, you know, sports kind of consumes you, and they've consumed me since I was about 6 years old. And I'm one of the few New England people. So, you know, during the playoffs, I'm very loud, like any New Englander is, about my team, win or lose. And so it was nice, you know, making the run. You know, the games were so stressful. And just people going out of the way. I'm really pulling for you, man. Like, I really hope you guys do it. Congratulations. You guys did it, man. Great job. Hey, thanks. Like, you know, like I was hitting the curveball like Victorino out for a home run, or like I was Big Poppy in the zone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm sure Rich wasn't one of those guys, bro.
No. Rich was not cool.
Safe to say he was not one of those guys.
No. Rich is diehard. Rich is diehard New York, man, through and through. So
And
I
Michigan.
can't. Although his family, his wife's side of the family is all from New England, so I had their support.
That's always good. It must have been weird being from New England, and also you went to Syracuse.
I did. I went to high school. My family moved around a lot when I was a kid. My dad was in the military, so we landed in Maine for high school and kind of stayed there. And to go to Syracuse, you know, you think about, I wanted to be a broadcaster. And so when you think about all the great, you know, broadcasters in history, whether it's Bob Costas and Dick Stockton and Ted Koppel, and they all had one thing in common. They all were Orangemen. And so that was, you know, when I decided that's what I wanted to do, continue a career in sports, get into a career in sports, I wanted to go to the best place. I wanted to go to the best place to be a broadcaster, and that was Syracuse. And so, you know, in hindsight, maybe I wouldn't have gone because, let's be honest, the cold and the snow is terrible. There's so much snow. My junior year was the record snowfall in Syracuse, and it was miserable. It was miserable, but, you know, and I say that tongue in cheek, of course, but it was great. Loved Syracuse, loved everything about it. I'm a diehard Orangeman sports fan. I even went to the Final Four last year. I went all the way to Atlanta when Syracuse made the Final Four just to see them play. And so I wouldn't have done anything different. It's the best. It's basically where I am today because of the connections and my friends I've made while I was there. You know, helped me get this job, and so I'm forever thankful.
That's awesome. But being an Orangeman, it must have been rough that third Super Bowl for the Patriots to beat Donovan. To beat up Donovan McNabb.
No, you're right. And the thing was, my freshman year of college was McNabb was Donovan's senior year, and so I got to enjoy 1 year of Donovan McNabb, and then you know, I'm not an Eagles fan by any stretch, but I was certainly pulling for him in his career, and so, you know, it was tough. you wanted to see him do well and succeed, but you're also kind of pulling for your hometown team. And if you want to take it even one step further, David Tyree, your boy, Mr. New York Times, Mr. Greatest Catch in NFL Super Bowl history, he's a Syracuse Orangeman as well.
That's right.
So it's kind of too bad that that play happened to help sink the Patriots' perfect season. But I guess if there's any silver lining for it for me personally, it's that David Tyree is an Orangeman. And David Tyree, he was in school at the same time I was, and he would be at the dining hall or whatever, and couldn't have been a nicer guy. So, I'm happy that he has that moment in NFL history.
It was one of the best moments I've ever witnessed.
Oh, I mean, do you remember exactly what you were doing during that play and what you were thinking at the time?
I was hoping no picks.
I'm not allowed to discuss what I was doing.
Why not? What do you mean? What do you mean you can't? What do you mean you can't discuss it?
You might as well. Now you have to do it.
Yeah, no. I was in college, so I had my crazy college experience that night. Me being a Met fan and a Giant fan, and my friends not seeing how I reacted towards the Mets losing in Game 7 of the 06 NLCS took it very personally.
Carlos Beltran just leaving the bat on his shoulder and just watching strike three?
Yes. So they saw how poorly I reacted to that. And obviously no one and their mother thought the Giants were going to pull up the upset against the Patriots. So let's just say there was a lot of whiskey being taken care of. And
well done.
Yes, there was just too much to handle that night. But I recollect everything that happened, but it was just not one of my prouder moments. But I remember everything, but I threw a clock through a window. It was just one of those messy nights. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You went all Belushi.
Yeah, pretty much Animal House. Yeah, that was me that night.
Well done. Well, the night of that Super Bowl, I was working for a newspaper at the time, and so I was in charge of doing the layout and picking out all the stories and everything. And so I went to work early on a Sunday to kind of get the section prepped for our Monday edition. I had everything planned out, what I wanted to say. I had my headline. I had where I wanted everything to go. I was even thinking about the giant picture of Tom Brady holding the trophy that I was going to use for the front page. And then I went to a friend's house to watch the game. And then we all kind of sat there in silence for a long time. Everyone kind of looked at each other, and I went, well, I guess I should go back to work.
Yeah, I'm still hurting from the doggy pile that they, jumped on me like I won the Game 7, like we were mentioning before. But
that must have been the greatest dog pile ever.
Oh, my God.
That was worth every single moment of pain, every ounce of pain you felt was worth it.
Oh, my God. It was so worth it. And the moral of the story is I still made it to my class the next morning.
Oh, man, you made it to class?
I made it to class the next morning. I played really hurt in that, but I made it to class. So.
I was going to say, that's got to be the most hungover you've ever been.
Yes, it was pretty bad. And everybody was everybody looked at me like, what are you doing here? And I was like, I still got to go to class, even though the Giants won the Super Bowl. They don't pay me to go to school.
Your parents are footing the bill. You got to go to class.
Yeah, so that was that. It was one of there was obviously a lot better than the last Super Bowl, even though that Super Bowl was just as epic. Well, let's not bring it up. I feel bad talking about it in front of Brockman. Brockman, a lot of people may not know. If you do listen to Rich Eisen podcast, might know. Chris made a short cameo of last season premiere of the league. How awesome was that being on the league, high-fiving RG3's hand, and being on one of the most popular shows on TV right now?
It's got to be right up there with one of the cooler things I've done in my life. Jeff and Jackie Schaefer, who created the league, they're the writers, they're the producers. They're friends of the podcast, friends of the program that I'm involved in. And so that summer, we had Jeff on, and he's a big Browns and Seahawks fan, and we were just kind of talking post-NFL draft with him, and kind of towards the end, he just kind of threw it at Rich, sort of, hey, do you ever want to come on the show? And I'm a huge fan of the show, huge fan. Chris Law, our co-producer, also a huge fan. And, Rich is as well. And, of course, Rich was like, sure, whenever you want me, I'll come on. And, of course, Chris and I in the other room were shaking our hands up and down, like, what about us? What about us? Like, we never thought in a million years that we would get to go on. We just wanted to come and hang out on the set while Rich was taping whatever he was going to be involved in. So, a couple of months went by, and it was in July, and then Rich kind of hit me up with, hey, what's your schedule like this week? And I told him, and he was like, well, good. I got you on the league. Jeff Schaefer hooked it up for you, so just bring a suit, and we're going to go down the set. And unfortunately, Chris Law had a family emergency, so he couldn't be involved. So it was just me and Rich, and we went down the set and just kind of hung out for a few hours and taped our scene, which, as it would have it, was the very first scene of the season premiere last year, with Robert Griffin and Trent Richardson were involved, along with Paul Scheer and Nick Kroll from the show. It was beyond amazing. As you saw, I was the hat guy in Ruxin's draft dream sequence. Selected Robert Griffin first overall. And at the NFL draft, how when a player is selected, there's always that guy standing off to the stage who gives the player his hat of the new team. And so that was my role. I got to stand there, and when he came through the giant curtain, I handed him his hat. And so one of the things Jeff said was just, hey, you're going to give Robert the hat, and that's that. And I was like, cool. So I looked at Robert, and I was like, should we do something cool? Should we do like a handshake or something? And he was like, yeah, man, it's great. Let's blow it up. And so we probably did a dozen takes or so. And it's funny, if you actually watch the take, Robert blows it up and I don't.
Oh, no.
The take they ended up using was one of the ones where I forgot to blow it up. Like, the whole point was to blow it up, and I failed.
No.
I thought you went for a bro hug. Didn't you?
No, there was one. So that was my 1.5 seconds of fame. And then later on Trent Richardson, the scene called for, he was getting drafted by Andre's team, Paul Scheer's team. And he refuses. And so I'm kind of like stretched out, giving him the hat. Like, you have to take this hat. You're on his team. You're drafted. You have to take the hat. And
of course, it's
no. Yeah, it was really fun, man. Those guys were so awesome. And I don't know if you guys watched the show or if you watch Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's kind of the same style where it's a lot of improv. They just kind of winging it. Whatever comes to their mind, they're kind of just saying. And so they do about a dozen takes of everything.
Well,
and the funniest one makes it on. It was awesome.
I actually saw Steve Renazizi, a.k.a. Kevin, do stand-up a year ago, and it was actually... Oh, he's definitely an awesome guy. We met him after the show. He's definitely one of the nicest guys I've ever met, personally.
Yeah, he wasn't there. Like I said, it was just Nick Kroll and Paul, and then Robert and Trent. Trent Richardson let me try on his BCS championship ring from Alabama, which was pretty cool.
Oh,
that's awesome. All right, you guys had...
Yeah, that was great. And and the funny ththing is, if you guys said you listened to the show, so you probably know this already, but Chris Law got his cameo this past season.
Yes.
He was on with Jay Cutler and Kristen Cavallari, and he got that because the Seahawks beat the Patriots last year, in which I had a bet going with the Schaefers. They were going to use my phrase boat race in the season finale last year, or they were going to work it in the end of last season. And if the Patriots had won, and of course, we know what happened. Sidney Rice caught a deep touchdown and beat the Patriots. So Law got his cameo, which I was really excited for him because Rich and I were pretty bummed out that he had to miss out last summer.
Exactly. But I'm sure you'll get boat raced in the league some way, somehow, real soon, I bet.
Well, if you guys want to be a part of the boat race revolution, you can, because it's a revolution that's literally boat racing the nation.
I do say it every now and then.
Yeah, we say it every now and then. I bet you that goes a lot further than the match roll.
Oh, man. We tried. Rich tried so hard for the match roll.
Oh, my God. Yes, he's yeah. I'm addicted to NFL Network. So, yeah. He's tried so hard. Hey, it's his fault, not our fault anymore.
Hey, well, that's the thing. Hey, Maddie didn't like it, and I think the record speaks for itself. A couple weeks ago, Maddie dissed it to Steve Mariucci, and Matt really hasn't had a lot of success since. He had, at one point, 7 interceptions. Did he throw an interception last week? I don't know.
I'm not sure. I benched him for Nick Foles last week.
I did too. I did the exact same thing. I had Matt Ryan, and the guy in my league who has Nick Foles also had Peyton Manning, so I was able to make a little trade-a-diddly-do, and I got Nick Foles, and so I started him instead of Matty Ice. I was sick of it. I couldn't handle it anymore.
All right, Chris. All right, so now Chris, and now that everybody knows if they don't listen to the show or anything else, Chris actually helps out NFL Game Day morning. What time is your call in the West Coast timing for a 9 o'clock East Coast show?
Okay, so Game Day morning on Sunday airs at 9 o'clock Eastern. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 6 a.m. Pacific. So I get here at 3 a.m. Pacific on Sundays.
Oh, my.
So when I'm first getting home, you're first going to work.
Right, exactly. Basically, everyone in Los Angeles, I'm driving to work. They're going home from, I imagine, a fantastic California evening, and I'm hating life on about 2 hours of sleep going into work.
That's awesome, but sucky at the same time. Thank you for the quality programming, because I'm addicted to watching it.
Well, hey, I'm glad you guys enjoy it. It's a long weekend. The team that we have puts in so much hard work, and everyone does an amazing job. And it's part of the deal when you're on this team. You just kind of accept and live with the hours, and they're all over the place. And like they said in The Godfather, this is the life we chose. So you know that it just comes with the territory, and you just kind of make the best of it.
On the show, you mentioned that you pretty much are the right-hand man of Marshall Faulk for the show. That must be an awesome experience, actually watching and just pretty much studying the game with Marshall Faulk. Do you care sharing a few things that you've learned this year watching games with Marshall Faulk?
Oh, man. Wow.
It must be like the coolest thing, because me and Steve watch games together. That's obviously not as cool. Like, all right, we'll think like one certain play is like that kind of play, and then you watching the game with Marshall Faulk, like he'll know things like 10 times before any of your friends would ever know. How that must be like the coolest thing ever, being Marshall's right-hand man for the show purposes.
It's pretty amazing. Through the week, kind of picking his brain, emailing back and forth or whatnot, kind of topics that he wants to talk about. And then on Sundays, I kind of watch the first half of games on the stage. Usually, we have a kind of a great. You guys have seen the show, the Total Access big screen back there. We turn that into our viewing area on Sunday, where we have 8 games going at once. And so we're just kind of all sitting out there watching all the games. So I watched kind of the first half with Marshall, and here's a good one. So this is something that really no one else would pick up on. So who did the Patriots play a couple weeks ago? I guess I should know this. Who was the game before their bye week?
Last 2 weeks ago was the Steelers?
Was it the Steeler game?
The week before that. Anyway, they gave
boat
up,
raced the Steelers.
It was they lost to the Jets before the Steelers.
They lost to the Jets. So the Jets came down and scored a touchdown, and the broadcast cut away to Bill Belichick on the sideline, and he wasn't reacting, he wasn't yelling, he wasn't mad or sad or whatever. He was a perfect Belichickian moment. But he was writing something down on a notepad. You guys remember that? And I looked at Marshall, and I was like, what do you think Belichick is writing down right there? Because it just seemed like such an odd thing that he would be. His team just gave up a touchdown. They're losing the game at this point. And he's not talking to anyone, but he's writing something down on a notepad. And that's what I said. I said, hey, Marshall, what do you think Bill is writing down right there? And Marshall just immediately was like, oh, he's probably writing down the situation, what their formation was, and what the play that they ran, and then the defense that he had called and why it didn't work. And I was like, oh, well, that makes pretty much perfect sense. And then last week, and it's just something that no one else would completely pick up on. You're just like, look at Bill, he's just scribbling something stupid. Well, actually, it's so that when he sees that play and that formation in that situation the next time, he's going to have a better defense call, and they'll probably end up stopping it. It was pretty remarkable. And then this week, people are wondering why Trent Richardson is struggling. Perhaps you guys have him on your fantasy team.
Nope.
I do not, thankfully. I do not, thankfully. And so that's one of the questions we've been asking here the last couple of weeks. Like, why is Trent struggling so bad? Why is his yards per carry under 3 yards when you'd think this guy should be a superstar running back? And Marshall explained it just very simply. Marshall, obviously, a Hall of Fame running back himself. Trent is running to darkness. And you're like, running to darkness? What does it even mean? It means there are holes there. And instead of running to the daylight of the hole, he's just looking for contact. And he just wants to make contact with someone rather than making a simple cut and getting to daylight. And then we showed a video of that, of Trent running to contact, and then we showed Donald Brown running the exact same play and gaining 25 yards because he's running to daylight. It's just those little things every week in meetings or whenever I have a chance to talk to him. Just getting obviously, I'll never be able to watch the game like him. Never be able to see the game like an NFL running back, Hall of Fame running back. But if I can get a little nugget here and a little nugget there, it'll just help me see it more clearly, and I'll be able to do my job better. And that's kind of what he's rubbing off on me. It's been amazing.
What was your first real, wow, I work for the NFL moment?
Oh, man. Wow, I started in August of 2009, and I think it was probably just the first time I saw Warren Sapp just walking around, Marshall Faulk just walking around, Deion Sanders. I think it was one of the first weeks. I grew up. These guys were just super duper stars in their heyday when I was growing up and really falling in love with the NFL. And being out here, when I first started, I was really big time behind the scenes. I still am, so to speak. But, I had no interaction with any of these guys. And I think I had to take something to the stage during, near the end of the preseason. And just there was Deion and Michael Urban just sitting on the stage getting ready to do highlights or one of the highlight shows, Game Day Final. And it was just one of those moments. I think I just quick tried to snap a picture so I could send it to my dad really quick without anybody noticing. Like, hey, Dad, look where I am and look what I am doing. And that was probably very early on, just kind of seeing these guys that I looked up to, guys I had on my fantasy team when I was a kid. Just seeing these guys walking around, and you're like, wow. And and the funny thing is, this is a story I like to tell some of my college buddies. When I was a freshman in college, I had a Marshall Faulk poster on my dorm room wall. And now he knows my name and we talk. It's pretty amazing.
That's pretty awesome. You guys had a lot of guests on the Rich Eisen podcast. Who is
lots of good ones.
Who is by far the best? Your favorite.
My personal favorite is Larry David, without saying.
Larry David?
Yeah, that was one of my favorite episodes ever.
Yeah, that was a really fun one. Matt Damon was awesome. Getting to meet Matt Damon, that was cool. Obviously being from New England, and he's a huge Boston guy. I think I've seen Good Will Hunting 100 times. So that was pretty cool to see him. Larry David, obviously a huge Seinfeld guy. I had a Larry David moment walking him out. I was in charge of walking him out and getting his parking passes so he could get out of the building. And I gave him. We have we have a security gate, so you kind of have to go in and out through the security. And if you get a ticket when you come in, like you would any parking garage, but we give the guest a validation ticket, and so you have to put the validation ticket in first, or you put one of the tickets in first, followed by the other one. And so I was explaining this to Larry so he could get out. And if you've ever seen Curb Your Enthusiasm, like I said, he was having one of those moments in his own head, and he was playing it out where he was like putting the one ticket in and then follow the other ticket. Put the one ticket in, follow the other ticket. I was like, this is an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm right now that I'm having with Larry David. This is amazing. And then he just got in his car and drove off, and it was really funny. Yeah, Larry was amazing. Billy Bob Thornton was amazing. We had him on 2 years ago. He was wearing these snakeskin boots, and I just kind of made a joke about, oh, man, good thing I didn't wear my boots today. That would have been pretty embarrassing for you. And he laughed, and like he thought it was pretty funny. And Snoop Dogg came on. Even Matthew Perry was really cool. Chrissy Teigen was dynamite. She was so funny.
Isn't Chrissy Teigen the one that you had to go out and buy a shirt for, or was that Marissa Miller?
Oh, that was Marissa Miller. Marissa Miller, I went and bought a new shirt for, and then Chrissy came in the next day, and I didn't know she was coming in. I had tweeted her before, and Rich kind of set it up without telling me, and so thankfully I wore my favorite shirt that day. So Marissa Miller got a new shirt. Chrissy Teigen got my favorite shirt.
Well, I don't blame you on that. I would have to do the same thing if I was in your shoes.
Oh, I mean, look, I'm bald, and so I had a fresh shave. I made sure my 5 o'clock shadow was tight. Like everything was looking good that day when those ladies came in.
I don't blame you at all. Don't blame me at all.
But yeah, no, we've had a lot of great top-notch guests. Jerry Ferrara from Entourage, he comes in. He's awesome. Colin Hanks comes in. He's great. Like everybody, they're just so excited to come in. And like we were saying off air before we got started, to just have the same conversations that they have with their friends and the guys in their fantasy league, just to talk a little smack, come in and just sit around and chill and talk to the guys, talk a little football, talk about what TV shows they're watching. And, something happened funny on the way over here, just anything. And that's kind of what we do with the podcast. And it seems to be, we've had a lot of success with it.
Yeah, that's why I love your podcast. I actually brought it to Steve's attention to listen to it. And the reason why I love your guys' podcast is that it's football, but it is the whole gamut of pop culture and everything, and they bring everybody into the show and their love for the football. And I'm like, Steve, you've got to check out this show. I know you don't have NFL Network yet, but you know Rich Eisen. He does a phenomenal job. Give it a listen. And then he listens, and he's like, dude, this is one of the funniest shows ever. And I enjoy it. And then you guys are the reasons why we have this podcast. Yeah.
Good. Hey, look, couldn't be happier to hear that, guys. You know, when you talk about pop culture, do you guys watch Game of Thrones? Do you guys like that show?
I can't get into that show.
I know everything about.
Oh, man.
Everything we know about
Game
is
of
from
Thrones?
you. You're the one who tells us
Can't
about
get into it, really?
No, I can get in. I haven't had the chance to. It's on my queue. I'm definitely getting into it though.
All right, take the time. Well, after the season finale this year, we had Aaron Rodgers on to only talk about Game of Thrones. Rich told the Packers PR guy, if I ask Aaron one football question, he can hang up. And we had Aaron came on, and we talked for 15 minutes just about Game of Thrones, and he hung up. It was amazing. You know, these guys watch all these shows. We watch all these shows. Like, if you listened earlier this year, Rich and Chris were going crazy about Breaking Bad. And literally 2 weeks in a row, I had to leave the room because I wasn't caught up yet. And so they could have their conversations about Breaking Bad, right?
Chris,
I enjoyed.
Chris, I'm in the same boat with you. I was like, all right. I must be really bad. I'm like, all right, I have to fast forward this too because I know how hardcore they're both into it because of all the tweeting and everything like that.
Oh, so crazy. And the thing is, like, now that I've finished the show and I've caught all up, I managed to watch the whole thing in about 3.5 weeks. I was having like dreams and nightmares about, meth heads and everything. It was crazy. But now that I'm all caught up, I've like gone back and listened to those podcasts where I had to sit outside. It's really funny to go back and listen to them.
See, that's the show I like. I love that show. That, and if you haven't checked out Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, that's one that everyone says is amazing. Sons of Anarchy?
Yeah, I love that show. You got to give it a couple episodes to get like into it.
Yeah.
But if you watch it, it's great. Like, why wouldn't you want to watch Peg Bundy walk around in high heels and tight clothes?
That's true. That's true. Peg Bundy. Al Bundy's had a great go around on Modern Family. I'm glad to see Peg getting her due.
Yeah. It was actually funny because the director of the show is her husband. Kurt Sutter is Katie Seagal's husband. And he was on Howard Stern talking about how awesome it is seeing her banging all these other guys. Right on the Howard Stern show.
I was going to say, that's a Howard Stern interview right there. That is a Howard Stern interview.
So, I do recommend that interview, by the way, with him. Look, Chris, thank you so much for doing this with us.
Oh, no problem, guys. Such a good time.
We had an awesome time. We'd love to have you on again. Definitely sometime soon.
No problem. Just hit me up. Maybe we could Super Bowl. We'll preview the Super Bowl a little bit.
Yeah, definitely, man. You coming into New York for that?
I don't know yet. Hopefully. I think the Super Bowl this year is going to be interesting, no matter who's in it.
Who is your pick?
Well, if you've listened to the show, you know that I picked the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah. That's why we're going to give you the do-over right now.
Out of the NFC, and then I had the New England Patriots. I'm going to stick with the Patriots.
Yeah, I have the Patriots too.
I'm going to stick with New England, but as I've said in previous weeks, for me it comes down to the Saints and the Seahawks. Whoever gets home field advantage in the NFC playoffs, I think, is going to come out and go to the Super Bowl. Right now, it looks like the Seahawks, they play each other soon.
December 2nd. We were looking at that before. Monday Night Football.
Yeah, that's going to be a monster game. And of course, you know, New Orleans still has 2 games left with Carolina, who's coming off their impressive game, their impressive victory against San Francisco. They host New England on Monday Night Football, which I think is going to be a fantastic game. I mean, I think right now I would say Seattle probably has a better shot to reach the Super Bowl. But certainly I wouldn't count the Saints out. One of those two. New England is going to make it out of the AFC, and then either New Orleans or Seattle in the NFC.
You got to think it's going to come down to that Monday night game because whoever's got the home field is going to...
Right. They'll be the number 1 seed in the NFC.
Right.
I actually agree with you with New England. It just has that feeling of New England. They're not that team from a couple years ago. Even the team that faced the Giants in Super Bowl 46, they have that feeling like of old Patriots lore of the first 3 Super Bowls. And that's why I'm sticking with the Patriots. They were my preseason pick as well. And I'm like, there's something up with the Patriots this year. Like, no one's gonna give them credit, and they're gonna sneak through the AFC Championship like every single year, and then they'll find a way to pull it out and make it to New York. I have that feeling.
I mean, if you just look, you're right. It has that feel of their championship,
and they're starting to pick it up a little bit, and they're getting their pieces.
Starting to pick it up. They're averaging 15 more points a game now that Gronkowski's back. You know, say what you will about the receivers, but they're now 10 weeks into their career. You know, it's kind of, they're not rookies anymore. They've got to make plays. Tom's starting to get his groove. The running game's coming along. I don't know. Obviously, anything can happen. No one thought the Ravens last year were going to do what they did. So that's why they play the game. You know, any given Sunday.
Look at the 2 years the Giants won the Super Bowl. They got hot at the end of the year.
Exactly. During the year, they were calling for Coughlin's job, and then at the end, he was the one laughing, holding the Lombardi Trophy. So anything can happen. You're right.
All right, we had rank on a couple weeks ago. Can we get our second guy from NFL Network to predict the Giants are going to win the division?
No. Absolutely not. I'm going to say somehow, some way, the Philadelphia Eagles win the division.
Ooh, with the way Foles is playing, he hasn't thrown a pick.
It's actually funny though. Obviously, we're not going to say we made Rank say the Giants we're going to win the division. But if you listen to his podcast and all the other podcasts, he's like, "Yeah, the Giants are going to keep on winning the division." I'm like, "What is going on, Rank?"
So, here's what's going to happen. Week 17, Philadelphia plays at Dallas. Winner of that game is going to win the division. Tony Romo is going to choke once again like he did last year, and the Eagles will go 8-8, 9-7, win the division.
By the way, did you notice how the NFL set it up for the NFC East game to be the final week of the season?
Well, they kind of have them all set up that way, where the last couple of weeks are division games.
Yeah,
so in case it comes down to it, those games actually matter.
But if you actually look at Week 17's schedule, the only legitimate matchup that has a chance of being it are the two NFC games.
That's amazing.
If you actually look at it, it's like Denver versus I think Denver plays Oakland that week.
Well, the Raiders aren't going to be in it, so that's a wash.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, I was I was a Dallas believer at the beginning of the season. I thought they could go 11-5 and just kind of blow everybody out. And I don't think anybody thought their defense was going to be this bad. I don't think people thought Des Bryant was going to be as inconsistent as he had. They weren't going to have a running game at all. So it just goes to show, like we just said before, this season more than ever, the NFL week to week, I have no idea what's going to happen. None. No idea what's going to happen. We
were saying it before. This is the wackiest season we can remember.
It's so crazy. I picked Kansas City to beat Denver this week, just because you have no idea.
I actually, I'm going to be picking them too this week, believe it or not. I don't know. I have that sneaky feeling, like you just mentioned. And you know how this season's wacky is. Obviously me and Steve are well-documented big Giant fans. It's crazy how they're 3-6 right now, and they're fighting chance to win the division this year.
They're 2 games back. They're arguably the hottest team in the division.
And that's what's scary about it. They have a shot.
And they started the year 0-6.
Yeah. And, it's crazy how 4 weeks ago, you're like, oh, my God, what is going on kind of thing, buzzsaw. And then, now we're like, oh, my God, we might have a chance. And it's really scary how this season has turned out to be.
It's awesome. That's why it's the greatest game. The greatest game back going.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
Once again, Chris, thank you for coming on this week with us.
My pleasure, guys. My pleasure. Appreciate it.
It was a thrill having you on. Check out the Rich Eisen podcast. We'll definitely have Chris on again with us.
You can also check out chrisbrockman.com. I do weekly power rankings across the league.
Yes.
And all kinds of other columns and stuff I got going on.
What is your Twitter handle again?
At Chris Brockman.
Okay.
Very simple.
Very simple.
And they also said they're going to try and get the check marks.
Yes. Must help them get check marks.
Finger crossed. If we can't get the check marks with the CEO of Twitter coming in, it's never going to happen. So this is our one chance. Get
that one opportunity to convince him that you deserve those check marks.
Exactly.
You should each take 1 minute to tell him why on the show. Why you
That's
deserve
true.
That
we should come up with a sales pitch as to why we deserve it.
I don't know, but you're going against the latex salesman, so you really want to do that.
Oh, come on now. It's not even fair. I mean, I wouldn't want to embarrass the poor guy.
Hey, by the way, before you leave, how's that Super Bowl ring? Does that make you more motivated?
It's great. I don't know why I get so much grief for that question.
Oh, you must have not flipped out, because obviously you're not going to flip out on Rich, but him bringing it to Jerry Rice's attention definitely wasn't your proudest moment, wasn't it?
Oh, with the greatest of all time sitting 3 feet away from me, Rich brings it up. And, of course, Rich was like, well, he brought up Michael Crabtree, so naturally that was just transition for me to bring it up. That hurt. That hurt a little bit. But, Jerry Rice laughed. Off air, he kind of scolded me a little bit. And so, look, I've learned my lesson. You get one question, but you really want to avoid the douchey follow-up. Avoid the douchey follow-up. They didn't teach you that at the Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
No, they did not.
If I can teach you one thing, boys, that I've learned from Rich, avoid the douchey follow-up.
All righty. So avoid the douchey follow-up.
I'll put that in my memory bank.
That's the S&D podcast lesson of the week.
That's awesome. All right, guys, I really appreciate coming on. You guys are the best.
Thanks, Chris.
Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
SND Podcast is in no way affiliated with, associated with, produced, or endorsed by the National Football League or any of its affiliates.
Back to episode 53 of the SND Podcast Show on the Schmuck Sports Network. Once again, that was Division 1.1 with this week's song submission, and that was a great interview.
That was an awesome interview. Thanks again, Chris Brockman, for coming on and talking with us for a few moments and talking about everything other than football. And he did talk about football, but that's great to see. I'm sure he gets tired of talking about football on a daily basis because that's what he does for a living. But thank you for coming on and talking sports and everything in general with us. So hope to have him on again sometime soon.
Definitely. Let's just give a quick recap of the Giants last week.
Giants played,
ugliest game I've ever watched in my life, but we won.
I
meant all around.
They played uglier. I've seen them play uglier and win games. The Giants were able to get a game ball. Definitely goes to Andre Brown for coming back and getting a career high in rushing and running attempts. And congratulations to him. Stay healthy. We need you.
115 he ended up?
Yeah.
Something like that? 30 for 115?
Eli in the passing game needs to step it up a little bit more. Still slacking on certain parts of the field. Defense has played great so far this season.
Second game ball to Demarius Moore. The monster.
Yeah. That hopefully was the turning point of the game.
It was the first punt block for a touchdown for the Giants since 1988.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yes, and Terrell Thomas, of course, just keep on playing better. Awesome, as we mentioned throughout the whole season. It's great to see, especially with 3 MCL injuries. And
never wanted a guy getting in the end zone so badly.
Oh my God, it's so Giants for him not to score a touchdown, and they're just allergic to scoring pick sixes, especially after scoring a punt block since they haven't done it.
You knew it was too good. It was too good to be true.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't going to happen. It was a great game for the Giants. I know Eli didn't play his best games, but the Giants found a way to win at the end of the day, and that's all the Giants need to do. This week they play the Packers. We all know the deal. Aaron Rodgers is hurt. Seneca Wallace got hurt, so their third-string quarterback is going to be starting against the Giants.
What is his name? Scott what?
I don't even know how to pronounce it.
Pestle?
Something like that. And it's definitely going to be interesting. You know the Giants' history.
Tolson.
Yeah, their history against backup quarterbacks that they don't expect to win. They find a way to lose.
Years ago.
Yes, but it's the Giants, and the way they've been playing, they'll find a way to pull out.
This year's been so weird with the Giants. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, but they're going to pull out the victory and making the next week's game against Dallas a meaningful one.
You know what's funny? A couple of weeks ago, we were talking about how they were coming off the bye. They'd have the 3 games, and
this game was going to.
This was our toss-up game in the 3 home games.
Yeah. Now this is the most sure where Phil go to the 3. We were like, if we're 2-1, we'll be happy, kind of thing. Now, if we could go 2-1 still, but
this is a huge game because Dallas is off.
Dallas is off. We can gain ground against Dallas.
We'll only be a half game out if we win this week and play them next week.
Exactly. We'll have the same record if we beat them.
Right. Wow.
It's going to be
0-6.
It's going to be scary. It's a scary thought, but Giants have to take care of business. Play the Packers. Play a fun game. If you're going to the game, as always, Steve's going to be there. I'm actually going to be making my second appearance to MetLife Stadium.
J8, baby.
J8, that's where we're going to have a big tailgate party, so come by, say hi to us. Brian's definitely going to be there from Division 1.1 as well.
Yes.
So it's going to be a fun day, as always, at J8. So,
by the way, I have an interesting Cowboy consistency stat for you.
Yeah, I just put it on Facebook.
The last 15 years, they're 5-5 this year. They're 17-17 under Jason Garrett. Since 1997, they're 133 and 133.
Oh, that's consistency for you.
So fire Monty Kiffin, because it's all the defensive coordinator's fault, just like last year.
All right, let's get to the games. Giants.
You want to talk a little Jets? Is this a?
No, it's a bye week.
How about this? Here's my Jet question for you for this week. They win or lose the bye week?
They won the bye week. No one got arrested or done anything.
I meant
stupid.
standing wise. Think about it. The Titans lost.
Yeah, they got lucky this week bye week.
The Dolphins lost. So I mean,
it's still a cluster for the last final playoff spot, because the 5th seed's going to either be the Broncos or the Chiefs, whoever wins that division.
Right. So you have the 6th seed, which is right now Jets. Cleveland's a game and a half. Cleveland's there. Baltimore's there. Pittsburgh's right there. Tennessee's right there. Houston with even 2 wins is kind of right there.
It's for the Jets taking.
San Diego's there too.
It's for the Jets taking, and they got to find a way to finish. They got to find a way to finish strong.
Right.
And that's hard to ask, especially when Geno Smith is able to play every other week. The Jets are lucky that they are getting him on that other week with the bye. I think the Jets are going to take care of the Bills. So the Jets
are they more lucky that they're getting him on the other week, or are they more lucky that they're playing the Bills?
Both.
Okay.
Both. I'm going to have the Jets going into Buffalo and winning.
I can see that easily. Buffalo's just awful.
Yes. So I'm going Jets with that.
Okay. Let's talk about.
What about you? You taking the Jets too?
Yeah, I'm taking the Jets in that game.
Okay.
I don't trust the Bills at all.
Neither do I.
They don't even have a line for that game. By the way, 6.5 for the Giants. Actually, it's down to 5 now.
Okay.
Now that they signed Matt Flynn, it's down to 5.
Okay.
All right. Let's talk Thursday night game first.
Okay.
Colts at Titans. I'm gonna go with the Colts.
I'm going with the Colts after that stinker they put up against the Rams last week. It's not going to happen 2 weeks in a row. Maybe, hopefully, this week is the week that T-Rich wakes up and helps his fantasy teams out.
Stop running into darkness.
Yes, as Brockman says on the segment before, through Marshall Falk said, that it seems he's been running through darkness, pretty much running to wrong holes, even when the holes are opening up. He's not reading it correctly.
So we both have the Colts in that game.
Yeah.
Another one interesting. One of the 1 o'clock games. It's at the Bears.
It's
is Cutler officially out?
No, I haven't heard anything yet.
He was doubtful for this week.
Really? It's just one of those years for the Ravens. They're so Jekyll and Hyde this year. You don't know which Ravens team is going to come out.
You saw that at the end of their game last week.
Yeah.
You saw it. They were winning. Bengals, 55-yard Hail Mary.
Yeah.
Tipped off 4 different people. Into A.J. Green's hand. It's wide open.
They really...
And then they ended up winning in overtime.
They need to start shaping up a lot quicker, because they do have a shot to making that 6th seed. Maybe even win the division, just how much if they could take care of the Bengals, but they can make that final playoff spot if they get a hot towards the end of the season, and they've been there before, as we all know. They could make a serious run at things if they find a way to get hot. So I'm gonna go with the Bears this week, but I would not be shocked if the Ravens find a way and pulling out a win. But I'm going to go with Bears. I just like the Bears' offense right now. Their defense is pretty crappy at the moment, but I like the Bears' overall offense at the moment, opposed to the Ravens' offense. So I'm going to go with the Bears.
Bears.
The Bears.
Bears at home. I don't like that field. Oh, I just think they're so accustomed to it at this point that. All right, what game you want to talk about?
All right, let's talk about the game I've been keeping my eye on. I want to talk about the 49ers Saints. It's going to be an interesting matchup, especially with Vernon Davis out. Well, most likely out. We don't know yet. He hasn't been cleared yet to play or practice. So it's going to be tough, especially with being Kaepernick's safety blanket. It's going to be really interesting to see who they're going to be able to target and make game-changing plays that helps Colin Kaepernick be the elite quarterback he is when he has everything going, all systems go. It's definitely going to be interesting to see that. I'm gonna say the 49ers. It's in New Orleans.
It's in New Orleans. Don't say the 49ers because you know you're not. It's gonna upset you.
Yeah, I'm taking the 49ers. I after last week's loss, I think they're gonna find a way to pull it out. Granted, it's gonna be a loud noise and everything like that, but I think they find a way to pull it out.
I don't think so. I'm gonna take the Saints in this one. 8-2. At the end of the day, they'll be 8-2. They're just the Saints. And did you see what they did to Dallas?
Yeah, I saw what they did.
They made Dallas look like a Pee-wee football team.
The Niners have a better defense.
Right, then everybody in Dallas is hurt. But,
yes.
All right. The next game we will talk about. It's a really ugly week. Go with the other NFC. Actually, no. You know what? Let's go Sunday night.
Yeah, Sunday night. The game we've all been waiting for. Hopefully we
first test for the Chiefs.
Hopefully we get back by halftime. The first test by the Chiefs. The Broncos have been playing good, but they've been playing banged up, and their teams are starting to bully them a little bit. Payton's getting hit way too hard and way too quickly.
Way too often.
Way too often the last few weeks. That's the Chiefs' game style. They're definitely going to run the ball a lot with Jamal Charles. They got to keep it within one score throughout this whole game because, let's be real, Alex Smith's not going to be able to bring them back to victory, especially against Peyton and the boys. But with that being said, my upset pick of this week is going to be the Chiefs. They have what it takes to beat the top caliber running gun offenses. Just being able to. I think they're going to find a way. They're going to sack Peyton and make Peyton uncomfortable. And maybe might even re-injure his ankle again. I hope not, but that's always a possibility, especially how vicious their defense can be on any given basis. I'm going to go the Chiefs with the upset.
Alrighty. Since the first week of October, the Chiefs have faced Ryan Fitzpatrick, right? The next week, the Chiefs play the following week.
They play. It's a very shitty list. I know
that.
They
played Terrell Pryor. Mm-hmm. Actually, no. Didn't they play Flynn?
Yeah, they played Flynn.
They played Flynn in that game, who was awful. They
have not.
They played Job, which was, I think, the game he got hurt. So,
yeah, he got hurt.
So whoever was the backup that week they played. And they played, was it Jason Campbell? And then the following week, was that the bye? No, that was not the bye week.
And they played the Bills quarterback.
Then they played that fourth-string Bills quarterback.
It's
all those guys combined, Peyton Manning's better with on one leg.
Oh, of course. It's going to be a tough game. I'm not saying that, obviously.
This is the real test.
But I think that I think the Chiefs are going to find a way to pull it out with their defense. I don't know. I have that sneaky feeling.
I just think Peyton, that just because he's not practicing just means he's watching more film.
No, you're right.
And when Peyton gets a chance to watch more film,
I needed to pick an upset pick, and I was this is the closest thing I was going to pick, especially with this week's games. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs.
All right, I'm going Broncos at home. 9-1. I have them going to the Super Bowl.
And the last game of the week, which wasn't supposed to be this good, but the Carolina Panthers have shocked everybody the last few weeks. They're playing against the New England Patriots down in Carolina. I have the Pats pulling out a win. This could have been another upset for me. I think the Pats are going to find a way to pull it out this weekend. Cam Newton and co have been playing at lights out, but I think New England finds a way to pull it out. I guess so. I'm going to go with New England.
I'm going to go with this as my upset. I'm going to take Carolina.
You're taking Carolina. Okay.
I love the way their defense has been playing.
Carolina's technically they're a favorite.
They're favored by 2 points.
Wow, New England's actually favored.
No, Carolina's favored.
So how can they be your upset pick?
We don't really cover by spread.
Okay, so that's your just surprise pick. Wow, they're doing it again. Okay, fair enough.
Well, there's no other game to really pick an upset. Okay. Actually, no. I have a different upset pick. That won't be my upset pick, but I am going to go against the Patriots this week.
Okay.
On the road. I'm actually going to take the Steelers over the Lions this week.
Okay, gotcha.
That's going to be my upset pick in Pittsburgh. But make sure to check out tomorrow morning. We'll have all of our Thursday morning. Check out our Facebook page, our Twitter page, our Instagram page, Tumblr page, all of our pages. And we will have our picks of the week on. You can also now see our records. It's pretty close.
Pretty close, but I'm still kicking butt. So hopefully I keep it up this week.
We've each had that one week.
Yeah, we both had that one.
Once again, Division 1.1, check them out. at Chris Brockman, chrisbrockman.com also. Check out the Rich Eisen podcast as well, but mainly check out our podcast. Thank you for everybody again. DOA Food Drive, don't forget about that. Have any questions, just hit us up. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Have a good one.